All right, Liz Ann, knocking on the door of euphoria. The words from Leon Cooperman, not there yet. What do you think about what he said?
Well, one of the things that I think is interesting about the sentiment environment is we all know for much of this bull market, there was really nothing but skepticism. You couldn't get any sentiment measure either on the attitudinal side or the behavioral side to anything approaching extremes. That changed heading into 2018. You did start to see some extremes in the beginning of 2018, which sort of perfectly set up the short vol implosion. Then you saw the same thing happen into September, which set up the near bear market in the fourth quarter. More recently, though, when you've gotten these spikes in optimism, and I think, heading into mid-January, you were seeing some record-breaking spikes in optimism, more on the behavioral side of sentiment measures than on the attitudinal side. And then you had coronavirus step in. As I've often said about sentiment, in and of itself, when it gets excessive, doesn't tell you the market's going to move the other way, but it sets up vulnerability to the extent there's a catalyst. But all it took was a 3.3% drop in the S&P, and most of those sentiment metrics moved right down, at worst, into neutral territory. So it does tell you that skittishness comes back much more quickly, certainly, say, relative to the late 1990s era.
This is a tale, Weiss, of two markets, as Ricky Sandler told us. This bifurcated market, as Cooperman talked yesterday, it's like euphoria versus pessimism. Two different markets. Tesla today, Virgin Galactic today, energy today, playing off one another. You can certainly make a case for euphoria if you look at the two stocks I mentioned at the top. And then Leon Cooperman says, well, there's pessimism and good value to be had in energy.
So I'm going to parse those words a little bit. On one hand, he's talking about a sector. On the other hand, he was focused on one stock. Maybe we can draw that focus to two stocks, including Virgin. But I don't see euphoria. I don't see knocking on the door of euphoria in any real sectors. Sure, we've had technology that's done quite well. Sure, the semis have done quite well. But the semis are getting a re-rating because they're not what they were. They're not pure commodities. They go into virtually every walk of life, from cars to TVs, everywhere. So I don't really see knocking on the door of euphoria.
Even with moves like Tesla and Virgin Galactic?
Well, I'm saying those are isolated instances, I think, in any market.
So you can do that. You can keep those as isolated, boxed up on one side of the market, and then look at everything else as a whole.
Right.
With those to the side.
Right. Well, and I don't know why we leave Chipotle out of there. We've had Chipotle that's been at unbelievable valuation levels for, since we got a new CEO there. So, yes, I can. You can box those. If it gets widespread, if we start to see ridiculous moves like we saw in 2000, which I don't think we'll get to, that's euphoria. Well, euphoria in two names is contained.
That's what, Cooperman said. You go up 5 or 6% from here in a short period of time. Well, then you're not knocking on the door. You broke the door down. And then maybe that's the time to worry. But between now and then, and again, these round numbers that are waiting for you, Dow 30, NASDAQ 10,